Wow, we keep getting blindsided by all of this generosity, y'all. I just don't know what we're going to do for real. So, yeah, you had loopholes there, but see, those loopholes were intentional because you never wanted slavery to go anywhere. This is why you had to come up with different ways to keep it going. Sharecropping was nothing but slavery. That was all slavery. And then, oh, anybody go to jail, they don't have no rights, they're slaves. Yeah, because you were just looking for crafty ways to keep it going, and you've kept it going all this time. So, ladies and gentlemen, the history of the slavery loophole goes back to the days of the Civil War. After the ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865, Southern jurisdictions targeted Black Americans under Black codes, another form of slavery, arresting them for minor crimes like loitering and vagrancy. What do they do today? Arrest you for non violent, petty crimes, marijuana. See, nothing changes. We're just in a different era, but everything that was practiced then is still being practiced now. you know they just, now it's petty crimes. It may not be loitering and vagrancy anymore, but it's marijuana. Or they just put you in there for the fact that you're black. You didn't have to commit a crime. The fact that you are black is a crime. So that's why we got daily exonerations in America. So if they weren't putting you in there in large numbers for non crimes, then we should not see the amount of exonerations that we're looking at. The exonerations are pretty much telling on them. So, under the slavery clause, sheriffs would then lease out imprisoned individuals to work in fields. The convict lease program, slavery. Sometimes the very plantations where prisoners had previously been enslaved, they would put them in jail and they would go back to the same plantations they were on before the Civil War. So in 1898, the practice had become so widespread that 73% of Alabama's state revenue came from forced labor. Okay? They make billions and billions of dollars on enslaved people today. I've done videos on it. This is why they keep white cops in black neighborhoods just grabbing up any and everybody, trumping up charges. The prosecutor is trumping up charges and they go to jail and come to find out no crime was ever committed. Okay. So the slavery cause, they're talking about, excuse me, almost had to sneeze. So the slavery clause incentivized minor crime convictions. So, in other words, they were given incentives, and they still are. That's why so many black men are in jail for some minor crimes that really shouldn't matter at all. They were given incentives to grab you for any and everything and throw you in there. You think that's still not going on now? Of course it is. That's why so many innocent people are in there. All right. So they heavily depended on minor crimes to get Black Americans all through Jim Crow era. Mm-mm-mm. These people even wrote in the damn history that they got you on minor crimes, and they're still doing it to this very day. Wrote it in the history, y'all. But if you listen to them on some of these laughable channels they got up, oh no, most of them are in there for violent crimes. Since when? Since when? You're even admitting it. Back then, you had practice picking black people up and putting them in forced labor for minor crime. It's written right here in your damn history. What are they doing today? Picking up black men for minor crime. I want y'all to always remember this. I want you to always remember this when they come around you trying to talk about some violence. These people have no business forming their lips to talk to anybody about violence. They really don't. They don't have a leg to stand on. So today's black residents are still incarcerated 3.5 times the rate of whites, according to the Bureau of Justice, for minor crimes. Okay, incarcerated workers make well below livable wages. Hmm. Despite prison workers producing more than 2 billion in goods and more than 9 billion in services to maintain prisons where they are incarcerated workers earn on average 13 cents to 52 cents per hour. And I want y'all to talk to some of these inmates, especially former inmates. They still take these inmates to white people's houses to do work at their homes. This still happens even to this very day. You don't believe me? Talk to these inmates. Talk to the inmates. They will tell you. They will tell you if some white person needs something done at their house, they'll take these inmates over there to do work at their houses. They still do this to this very day. Get it from the horse's mouth. Talk to the incarcerated victims, as far as I'm concerned. Many of them are, because they're in there for stuff that never happened. Talk to them. They will tell you. They will tell you. They still do that mess to this very day. So, a lot of the punishments that you see inmates going through today, especially black men that are inmates, these are punishments that actually date back to antebellum slavery. The punishments that you see practiced today date all the way back to antebellum slavery. Now you see why they don't want you to learn any CRT, y'all? Running around trying to get people fired and everything. Now you see why? No, because a lot of the stuff they did back then is still being practiced now. Still being practiced, y'all. Didn't go nowhere. Mothers were separated from their children and promised unification if they were to obey. People were placed in what was called the hole or the box, in isolation and darkness without light or any interaction. And this is still happening today. Solitary confinement. See, everything they did then, they are still practicing now. It's not a coincidence. These folks never change. That's one thing you should know, especially if you know you are a Hebrew. You know these folks never change. Okay, so work for incarcerated men range from janitorial to maintenance jobs. Some states even use prison laborers to clean governor mansions and other governmental buildings, to kitchens and laundry services, to work on farms that used to be plantations. That's right. A lot of the prison farms, y'all, were the plantations of yesterday, and they are still being utilized to this very day. Nothing has changed. Throughout the pandemic, many incarcerated workers were responsible for manufacturing PPE, such as hospital gowns, masks, and hand sanitizers. In some of those cases, they actually weren't even afforded they had to make the PPEs, but they weren't allowed to have or wear any of these things that they had to make. I just love the way they write this article like, we're going to work on getting rid of this slavery, from the constitutions, and then maybe there'll be brighter days ahead. No, there won't be brighter days ahead, but nothing, and they're even admitting nothing is going to change right away. It's not going to change at all, y'all. It's not going to change at all. A year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you're going to hear about them still locking up people that don't belong in there, and nothing is going to change. So, ladies and gentlemen, they believe that in the future there could be court challenges to um, the amendment, and perhaps there could be, but it, this is not going to change anytime soon because, see, America has gotten so used to slavery, they don't want it to go away. That's why a state like Louisiana voted against getting rid of it. They want to keep it. They want to keep their slavery down there, you know. So abolishing slavery doesn't necessarily mean that we've even defined what slavery means. And it will be on the courts with pressure from the public to define what is slavery and whether prison labor in whatever form it is currently existing across the country constitute as slavery. It is. If you're forcing people to do labor and you're not paying them or you're giving them pennies per hour, that's slavery. Or you are punishing people by throwing them in solitary confinement because they don't want to do the slave labor, then that is slavery. It is slavery. But before it even gets that far, it will take three-quarters of both the chambers and three-quarters of the states to ratify an amendment. That means there need to be a robust bipartisan support for the abolition amendment to pass. Thus far, the bipartisanship has started to come together. In the House, a bipartisan group of 172 members have co sponsored the amendment. Um, and so it is a slavery clause that will eventually be eradicated and re entered to everyday life for formerly incarcerated people, will become a more positive experience. Mm, mm, mm. This is a fight for the humanity of people who are incarcerated and the dignity for the incarcerated workers. Well, America could have really done a much better job with incarceration, like, had real good rehabilitation involved in it, but y'all weren't interested in that. You want work out of them. That's all you want. 95% of people in prisons are coming to our communities. It doesn't serve any one of us to exploit them or dehumanize them. We want people to come back healed and whole, not angry and resentful. Well, they would have every right to be angry and resentful, especially being in there for petty crimes and being in there for years. for not committing any crime at all, they have every right to feel that way as far as I'm concerned. But y'all, this is downright laughable. You know, if they were really sincere about getting rid of slavery, you wouldn't be having this conversation in 2022. They would have done away with it a long time ago. It is just kind of pointless to try to pretty this up. You can't pretty it up. It is what it is. It's ugly. And it is the real true history and nature of this country. And there's nothing you can do in 2022 to change it. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.